The Tampa Bay mother effing, please go away and stop destroying my dreams, except for last year, which, by the way, was nice to beat you in 5 games. Tampa Bay Lightning.
6 games.
6 games. Third in the division last year with 98 points. A lot of people argued that could be a bit of a step backwards. And given how things went at the start of camp, maybe it is. I want to ask you guys, the betting odds. What are the points for the Tampa Bay Lightning betting favorites?
They had 98 last year?
They were.
98.5.
Jesse.
Oh, I don't think you're wrong that it should be right in and around there. I'm going to say slight step back with the Vasi injury if it's been updated from there. 96.5.
Nailed it, Jesse. Oh! Nailed it. I was like, as soon as you said it should be right in around there, but it should be a couple back. I'm like, he's going to get it. He's going to get it.
Yes.
The Lightning started camp with Stamkos being upset about not just not getting an extension, but not even getting a call about an extension.
Yeah, that's bad.
That was followed by the GM saying, well, we're going to evaluate the team before we go down that road. Basically saying, hey, Stammer, wait till next year. And then followed by a report from Friedman saying there are people around the organization that would not be heartbroken to see this man go.
It's a prove-it year for a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Crazy. It was also followed a week later by Andrei Vasilevsky going, I hurt myself in August, and the injections in the rehab aren't working. Why don't we do surgery? And it is a 10-plus week recovery time. I know these are crazy athletes, but still, anything that's 10 weeks recovery could go longer.
Yep.
All of that pain, but still the Tampa Bay Lightning. Mm-hmm. Whatever you throw at them, it does sort of mentally feel like they can survive it. So let's start with the goaltending and what that looks like without Vasilevsky. How do you guys feel about Jonas Johansson, Matt Tompkins, or Hugo Allenfelt?
Oh, that's my boy.
I know Jesse loves Alan Felt because of the video games. But like Jonas Johansson as your starter is awful.
Jonas Johansson had
not good enough.
Listen, in 3 games last year, Jonas Johansson had a .932 save percentage.
Yes, he did. He had 3 very good games.
But that's all.
Go and look before that.
Matt Tompkins, if you don't know, was Canada's Olympic goalie. He was 2-1-0 at the 2022 Winter Olympics, which is why the Lightning signed him.
We talked about him recently,
28.
and I said, "Oh, did you know he was Canada's Spengler goalie?" And apparently, he played at the Olympics.
And Hugo Allenfelt, who admittedly does not have, he's got 1 game in the NHL. He didn't start it, but he let in a lot and faced 10 shots and has a 9 goals against average at a .700 save percentage. That's not fair. That's not fair.
It's not fair.
It was like 10 minutes of NHL time.
How was he in the minors?
Well, not great either.
Okay.
Syracuse Crunch, 277 goals against average. His save percentage was .904. But previously to that, with the Solar Bears in the E, an .886 save percentage. And previous to that, same year, Syracuse Crunch, .882 save percentage. Better last year.
So it's Tampa, and nothing they do would surprise me, but that doesn't appear to be an NHL option.
Jesse.
No, he's 22 though. There's plenty of time for Alan Felt to become.
But is it? But what
But this year.
But
But
you got to do right now.
23, 24, you're probably going to need some help.
Yeah.
So what do? Do you make a trade, guys? What would you do? GM Jesse Blake.
Waiver wire. That's where you're searching. You start the year, you see if the waiver wire gifts you anybody for free, and if it doesn't, your hand is forced to make a move because your goalies aren't performing up to NHL standard. Then you make that move. But I think there's a little breathing room here where you can wait and see. It's not dire.
Now, not to make it about the Leafs, but a lot of us seem to assume that Martin Jones was going to be going there via the waiver wire. Looks like Ilya Samsonov is hurt to start the season potentially, so it's Martin Jones is all of a sudden going to be on the roster. I'm really not sure how Tampa gets a goalie without making a trade, especially because of their pecking order in the waiver wire priority.
Yeah, and if your hand is forced to go the route of the trade, I think you do that for sure.
It's not going to cost them a ton.
No, and they have, I'm trying to see how many draft picks they have right now. They don't have a lot this year, but they have a lot of futures. In the 2025 draft, they have the 2nd through the 7th. Send one of those out for a goaltender. Tampa doesn't care. They're in it to win it every single year. trade one for a goaltender.
And you know what, guys? They may have been in the market for a backup goalie anyway. We really think that Jonas Johansson was their real option for backup goaltender? I don't. I don't think it's Matt Tompkins
great
either.
point.
I think
It
he's a
confused
lottery.
me.
It
Yeah.
did.
That's a great point.
I was
So
surprised.
I think that this was something they were going to do anyway. They just, whatever it was, they couldn't get it done this summer. It feels like we got an October or early November trade happening, and we may have a few with a few different teams. Now let's move on to more steady things with the Lightning, because I mean the rest of this team looks pretty damn great. Starting with the defense, what do we? I hate to say what do we like about it, because like what do you not like about it?
I know, right? Like Victor Hedman is so ridiculous. What I'm interested to see is this kind of a more torch passing year, because we're used to Hedman, and then behind him is McDonough, and then behind him is Sergachev, and then McDonough gets traded. Oh, can Sergachev? Yeah, he looks great in the third pair. Can he go and improve on the second pair? He was so good on the second pair that you're like, all right, how long is it before he's Tampa's number one option?
Yeah,
Like before I mean, Hedman's, I would say tail end of prime, like beginning of the back nine. He's on hole 10, maybe hole 11. At some point, Sergachev's got to take more of that load in order to keep Hedman fresh. Like keeping him fresh for the playoffs has been difficult at times. Last year, I know he was battling.
I think Hedman and Vasilevsky suffer from the athlete mentality, which is if I don't play, I'm in trouble. And look what's happened.
Many trips to the Cup final.
Look what's happened to Vasilevsky, though, right? Your body does break down, and maybe that's a little bit of like, hey, Victor, can we have you playing 20 minutes,
Right.
21 minutes a night?
And the worst thing for everybody else in the league with the Tampa defense is that they have so many guys. They have 8 guys who can legitimately make the team. And it's hard. I haven't been following their line combinations throughout training camp, so it's hard for me to pinpoint who's going to make this top 6, because I look at Darren Radish, Hayden Fleury, Calvin DeHaan, Zach Bogosian, Nick Perbix, Eric Chernak, Victor Hedman, and Mikhail Sergachev. And I say there's everyone on that list is an NHL defenseman.
Yeah.
I don't know what 6 I know the sum of the 6 you're going to pick, but like the bottom end, that last pair, that could be anybody.
Well,
And
it was
they're
DeHaan
probably-
Bogosian the other night.
Okay.
So slow and old, but
Yeah.
but I love.
But if
DeHaan.
you wanted to go with Perbix, like fine.
yeah,
There's a decent chance they could lose a guy or two on waivers, and even then, I think they'll be like, "Oh, phew!"
Thank
because
goodness.
then that'll free up space so that they can go out and get a goalie.
totally. It looks like Nicholas Perbix, by the way, could be playing with Victor Hedman this year.
Yeah, he could be on that first line.
It's
The first
crazy for a
pairing.
guy with 65 career games.
Because I got a golden ticket.
Yeah, 100%. Like Luke Shen had that spot for a while, and look what it did for his career.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
So I guess Cernak probably with Sergachev then.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what it looks like. And then you got Hayden Fleury, and was it DeHaan and Bogosian?
DeHaan Bogosian they
Okay.
tried last night. That doesn't mean that that's going to be necessarily the pair, but you know what Bogosian brings. He's big, he's scary, he's a Viking.
Yeah.
And Calvin DeHaan, for whatever his warts in his game are, always has a great sense of humor, and also always was very strong defensively.
Yeah. And I wouldn't hate Darren Radish replacing Bogosian. You know,
No.
like I think Radish could easily slot into there.
No. There's another guy who like maybe shouldn't be playing like every game.
One thing I think with with the Lightning's cap situation is like there's not a lot of guys on this roster that have like you better prove it.
Yeah, there's no.
Steven Stamkos.
Stevenson, I guess,
Yeah.
Steven, yeah.
Yeah.
What are you
Which
talking
was,
about?
by the way, self-inflicted. They didn't need to do that to Stevie
No,
Stamkos.
he's on a prove it deal. He's the Hall of Famer.
He is. You're absolutely right. One guy that I think is flying under the radar is Tanner Jeannot. That, to me, is the
yeah.
biggest proven on the roster. And I say that because he had a great year in Nashville, and then he was having a ho-hum year, and Julian Breezewa paid a fortune to get him, and he was ho-hum against the Leafs in the playoffs.
Fans do this all the time. He was hurt. Like, fans do this all the time. Like, do we think Tanner Jeannot, who was legitimately a great rookie the year before, do we think in 12 months he forgot how to play hockey?
I do.
How many goals
don't know.
in 20 games with the Tampa Bay Lightning did Tanner Jeannot have?
No idea.
I think
You're
it's
right.
0.
One.
One.
He had 1 goal and 3 assists in 20 games.
And he had
Tampa Bay
5 with the Preds.
5 and 9, yeah, 5 goals, 9 assists, and then in his sophomore season, he had 24 goals, 17 assists.
So if he was that
24
hurt,
is a
Steve,
rookie.
if he was that hurt, why was he playing for 76 games last year?
I have no clue. Oh, I don't know if he was hurt with the Preds. It's still a real tough trade to justify.
It was.
Yeah, I think he's probably closer to the 24 goal guy than the 6 goal guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And listen, but I think he needs to prove that. And that's my point.
He does.
I think
100%.
He's the guy in that forward group where I'm like, I want to see what you have, because are you Brandon Hagel went in and they rewarded him.
Brandon Hagel, he almost had 40 goals. Was he at like 34 goals last year or something? Almost had a 30 or 35 goal season, 40 goal season.
So
imagine not wanting him.
let me ask you this. Matt Nyes was almost traded for Brandon Hagel.
Yep.
What would you have taken?
I really do like.
It's tough, isn't it?
I like Nyes though.
Real tough.
I'm slightly
I'm gonna
off.
go with. We didn't even need him.
Jesse, what's up?
I'm slightly off on the goal totals. He had 30 goals last year, 34 assists. So 30 goal season out of Brandon Hagel, and I don't think
then he sucks.
Yeah, like he's a terrific player, and it was found by Julian Breezewell. Great find.
I think he's new and potentially better Blake Coleman for them. Ooh. And I love Blake Coleman, but he's that style, right? Anyway, with that said, because we just crossed the 10-minute mark, gentlemen, where do you have the Tampa Bay Lightning finishing this season, taking into account the fact that they are still great, but they don't have a starting goaltender outside of Jonas Johansson, at least as of this recording?
I have made peace with the fact that I think I might be the most wrong about the Atlantic. It's Tampa. I'll never bet against them. So 4th.
Okay.
There's real potential for it to go sideways. They have too much talent.
Yeah. Jesse Blake.
I agree. It's way too much talent up front. The back end's going to be solid. I have them 4th as well.
Guys, I still have them 3rd.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's not because
fair enough.
I don't. Well, do I have them 3rd? I might have had Buffalo 3rd. I think I got them 4th. I switched it.
Oh,
because mid I wrote it down, but mid take I'm like, damn, Buffalo's really good. So I have Buffalo 3rd. Tampa is 4th on my list.
Do you know?
I do know for sure because I have my list at the top.
Tanner Jeannot?
Tanner Jeannot. And I think that in the Atlantic Division this year, just like last year, the wild card will go to both Atlantic teams, and the Leafs are going to finish first. And guess who they're going to play in the first round?
Tampa.
That's right, baby.
Jonas Johansson, Conn Smythe.